What'd you say? Did you say how are you? Say hi. Hi, how's it going? Oh boy, we have the whole clan. If it looks like chaos in my house, it's because it always is chaos. That was funny. Okay. How's it going, guys?
How are you?
How are you? Okay. Okay. You want to come over here? Fine. I'm gonna leave it right here. Okay. Yeah. Can you leave it alone, please?
No.
Please. Please. Leave it right there. Okay. Ooh. It doesn't hang on there. Yeah. Help?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't hook on there.
No.
I can't get it to hook. But is that fun? Do you want to see Joni? Hi, Joni. I'll give her loves. Oh. Are you good? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, take two. Take one did not go very well, so we're starting over. That's okay. I was like, we're just gonna wait till nap time. We're gonna try again. So here I am. Okay, I don't even know. I'm just gonna start over because I think I was saying that last weekend, I think it was Easter, and I hope you had a really good Easter. We went and saw some of my family, and that was really fun. Just kind of laid back. And of course I always have, some sort of airhead moment. And when we were talking about someone's age, like it wasn't anything bad. I was just curious how old someone was because they had lived a really long life and they were like, I wanted to say almost 100. And so, sometimes, have you ever had those moments where you're thinking two words at the same time and then you say it and it comes out and like the words are mixed together and then it doesn't make any sense. It was kind of like one of those moments. And I had said, how old is her? And so the rest of the evening, everyone, and anytime you would need to say something where you would use the word she, they would replace it with her, and it was kind of funny. So and that is my, airhead moment of the day. I don't think I've had anything yet today, but the day is, we're only in, it's only 1 o'clock, so we've got plenty of time. But that was last weekend. This weekend, Luke and I are getting ready to go on a trip. We're gonna do a little road trip. I'm a little bit nervous about it. It's funny. Some days I'll be like, I'm super confident we're gonna be fine. It's no big deal. And then the next day we have a harder day. And by we, I mean Luke has a harder day. I guess I also have a harder day when he has a harder day. And then I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can do this by myself. So, but I think we're gonna be fine. I've been reflecting a lot about how I took Luke on a flight by myself when he was like, 8 or 9 months, and it went so much better than I could have expected. And I think the thing that really surprised me the most, I was pleasantly surprised by, was just the kindness of people and the understanding of people. I think that's what was the most nervous about when we were flying, was just inconveniencing other people, annoying other people, and just, Luke just screams at the top of his lungs all the time. He's always so loud, and I was like, I'm sorry. Like, there's gonna be people, like the person next to you is 6 inches away from you, so the person in front of you is like a foot away from you, and you can't go anywhere. But he did really good he did really good, honestly, and just people were so kind. They were smiling at him. They were like, someone was like playing peekaboo with him at one point, and just, I got asked for help probably like 20 times each way, and we had the layover and stuff too, so there's kind of a lot going on. And I had him and a carrier, and I was like trying to get the stroller, and so there's always stuff I was like, I need more hands. But people were just always offering help and so kind, and it blew me away. And I just love when things like that happen, because it's just such it's always just plants the seed in my head of people are good. And I think anytime we can be reminded of people exceed expectations and people can be so kind and understanding and good, it's just, we need to hear those things, you know, because sometimes we don't always hear those good things. So, and does anyone have a hard time accepting help? Because you know how I said, like, everyone was so kind and I had so many people asking me for help, and I have the hardest time accepting help, even if it's something that I genuinely could use help for. Like when we were flying and we would get off the plane, I had Luke like in my carrier and I was holding like a diaper bag. I think I maybe had it on my back. I think I had taken my breast pump with me and I was scared to put that in the luggage because I was like, what if they lose it? I'm gonna need this. So I was carrying that. I'm sure, who knows, my hand was probably full of like blankets and other stuff. And then we would get off and I got the stroller right when we got off the plane. And the stroller's like folded, so I'm trying to like unfold it. And I remember like fumbling with the stroller and someone was like, do you want me to help you with that? I was like, no, I got it. And I think back and I'm like, why did I not say yes to help for those kinds of things when I obviously could have used the help? And it's funny. I just feel like sometimes I have a hard time accepting help because I just am like, I can do it myself. It's all good. And I have been thinking about how when you accept help from somebody, not only does it help you, usually, it's also so good for that other person. Like when you say no, it gives them that little dose of joy, that little dose of, I helped somebody, you know, like you're taking that away from them. So I almost, if you have a hard time accepting help, maybe think about that, because that helps me be like, oh, it's not just about me. Like someone is going out of their way to offer to help, and I want them to feel good and know that that was so kind of you to ask. Yes, I would love that help. So I love thinking about that. And also I think that accepting help is such not a sign of weakness. I almost think it's the opposite, because if you think about it, when you're like, no, I got it, I'm doing it myself, that can be isolating too, versus, you know, when you're bringing someone into your world a little bit and accepting their help, you're not just alone on your island now. So I think that it's almost a sign of strength when you're willing to be like, yes, I admit defeat, I'm here, please help me. So yeah, those are just a couple things I've been thinking about, and I definitely need to get better at accepting help. And yeah, that was just crossing my mind. It's funny to reflect back on that trip and think about how wonderful people were, and how I'm like, gosh, I really should have taken so much help that a lot more times that people offered help, I should have said yes to. So yeah, anyways, I hope that's helpful for you. And the other thing too is, as I've been like getting ready for this trip and stuff, I am realizing that like I am so not a planner anymore. I used to feel like I was like so organized, like do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And now I'm like, we're just gonna go with the flow. Like I almost to a fault of where I'm like late all the time, or I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna happen till it's the day of, and who knows, life is just so unpredictable, you know. I'm like, Lord willing, I will be there if I can be there. But I just used to be like, so had everything mapped out, and now I'm like, we'll just see what happens. It's all good. And so today I'm kind of like scrambling. I'm like, okay, yeah, tomorrow we're gonna leave, that's the plan, so I think it's happening, so let's get stuff ready, all that jazz. But on the other side, on the flip side of that, I act like I'm so laid back, and I'm so not. I'm like the most high maintenance person ever. Like traveling with me, you don't even want to do it, because I'm so ridiculous. On another trip, so we took Luke on another plane, and my mom came with us, and which was better, but Luke was not good on that one. And I just remember like when we were traveling, I prefer to drive because like I get car sick. And then when we were on the plane, the flight attendant or whoever, the pilot, came on and was like, all right, please expect some bumps, you know, we've got some turbulence coming up. And I was like, oh no. And my mom was just like, already knows. She's like rolling her eyes. I'm like, I'm gonna get car sick, I'm gonna get motion sickness. Oh, I honestly usually just take Dramamine for that, but I try not to take Dramamine. I don't know, I'm weird. I try not to take things as much as possible. And then, you know, I just feel like I need all of my things and my routine. Like I need to get my sunshine in the morning, and I need like my breakfast at this time. So I confuse myself because I'm like, you're a lot more good with the flow. And then I think about that, I'm like, no, you're not, Brittany. Like you need so many things. You're so high maintenance. Like I don't even know. I think that's why traveling is hard, because I'm just like, I don't know. Does anybody else just like their, you know, like their home, like their routines, like the stuff that they do? And when you're not in that routine, it's just hard. But I know it's worth it to go on to do trips and things like that too. So anyways, one of my routines though that I'm really loving a lot, that I've mentioned before, is getting some morning sunlight. And so the two things that I've learned that are like really like foundational game changers for your health is seeing morning sun as soon as you wake up. And like if it's still dark when you wake up, there's some things you can do, but right now the sunrise is at like 6:40, and I am definitely either awake after that or not at that time. I am not awake before that, so that's not a problem here. So as soon as I wake up, I try to get morning light on my son. I try to get morning light on my eyes for like 5 minutes, and then I like usually have a protein shake, do a couple things, and then I cannot talk right now. An hour after sunrise, typically about an hour after sunrise, it's like this time where you want to get outside again. I try to get outside for about 20 minutes, and that time, I don't know what it is, but it's like, I just think of it as like magic time for the sunlight. It's just so good for you. I have been thinking about how I wanted to share more on this, how one of the biggest things I've noticed is my digestive system has been so good since I've been doing that. I've kind of mentioned before how I have had like a lot of digestion issues. I've always struggled with that. Like it's so common for me to like throw food up, the food that I'll eat all the time. I'll just get sick, my stomach will hurt. When I came off of hormonal birth control a long time ago, that made a huge difference. So that wrecked my body, and I didn't know it at the time, but that was super helpful. And then like lately I've kind of noticed still, I feel like once I came off of that, I noticed like my body just starting to gradually improve and get better. And then lately I've been noticing, I'm like, it's kind of like things are off a little bit. I noticed the digestion issues coming back a little bit. I feel like my hormones might be off a little bit. Sometimes I'll get headaches and be like, I don't know if this is related to, I don't know what's going on. So I started around this time learning about the sunlight, and so I've been getting outside a lot more, and I've probably been doing this for 30, 60 days, probably a couple months now. And yeah, that is been a huge benefit that I've noticed. So if you struggle with digestion issues, you get out in the sun. It is free and it is a game changer. And so here's what I've learned, kind of specifically what happens, because I've never understood like the why behind it, and just understanding what's going on helps me realize, like, when I understand why, then I'll stick to it and be like, oh, well, that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'm like, I don't know, is that even worthwhile? And so what happens is when you get that morning light on your eyes, and like I said, you know, that time in the like sunrise or when you first wake up is great, but I think this hour after is where a lot of stuff happens. So that hour after sunrise, be outside for like 15 minutes if you can. I know it's tricky if you have to work and stuff, but even like 5 minutes is better than nothing. So get that light on your eyes, and what that does is it triggers your thyroid, and then that thyroid kind of triggers your gut. I have it written down. I don't want to forget. So when the sun hits your eyes, it signals your brain. It signals your brain to make cortisol, which is, like your get up and go hormone, which we're always like, I need to lower my cortisol. But in the morning, you don't always want to be lowering your cortisol, especially when you're waking up. When you're up in the morning, you want it to naturally rise, which is what will happen when you first wake up and go see the sun. That'll trigger it to start gradually rising. You don't want it to like shoot up and wake you up like by looking at the blue light on your phone. That's not a gradual rise. So it'll, by seeing sunlight first, it'll help you naturally and gradually rise and like get your body going and like makes you alert, and it tells the melatonin to stop being made. And then that will activate your thyroid and metabolism, and then it signals your digestive enzymes, bile, and stomach acid to be made. All things that you need to like have your digestive system working good, and then what's crazy is, just a little side note, because we're always talking about gut health, right? And your gut, I want to say like the cells in your gut, they are some of the fastest regenerative cells, and your gut like fully repairs itself after like 3 to 5 days if you have a good circadian rhythm, like if it's in sync. I was looking at ChatGPT for like some metaphors or analogies, and it gave me a good one of like, think about a sprinkler system. Like let's say, so we have automatic sprinklers that come on like every other day at a certain time. And so it was like, I was thinking about if there's like daylight savings and then it gets pushed over an hour, maybe that they don't come on one day. Sometimes I don't know why this came to my head, but when I think of sprinklers, if it like messes up, or maybe like the power goes out and it's just like blinking, the same time, because it doesn't know what time it is. That's like what's happening in your gut if your circadian rhythm is off. And so it's crazy that this isn't talked about more, because we have so many supplements and so many things out there for gut health, and I'm like, whoa, this is like the most basic and game-changing piece, and it's free. Just getting outside, getting sunlight, and when you get your circadian rhythm back on track, like when your body knows what time do we wake up, what time do we go to sleep, what time do we do all of these things throughout the day, your body's just functioning a lot more smoothly. And all of the time when we get outside, it's constantly telling our body kind of what time it is throughout the day and what it should be doing. And so it makes you wonder, there's like studies on this too, of when we're inside all the time, even our windows, they don't allow the certain light that we need to touch our eyes. So you want, as much as you can, like no glasses, contactless. You want naked eyes out in the sunlight as much as possible, but especially in that morning time. So sometimes I put contacts in after like the hour after sunrise. I don't have my contacts in, and then I'll usually sometimes put my contacts in after that. I try to keep them off a lot more, honestly, these days, but that is just like the biggest time. I try to make sure, because that is just the biggest signal of, okay, we're awake, here we go, let's get things going, let's get our digestive system running. And it's been crazy. I've just really noticed my digestive system working a lot better since I've been doing that, and it's a cool change to see. So I just had to share that, because it, once again, something free. I love learning more about like the foundations and basic of health. There's other things that we can do that can be really helpful, but sometimes I catch myself being like, okay, well, I can spend money on that, but have I been getting enough sleep? Have I been getting outside? And so it almost helps me not spend as much money, because I'm like, I will do that once I have all of like my foundations, or most of my foundations, checked off. Then if I still need something that I want to work on or pinpoint, then maybe I'll jump to something else, another supplement or something I want to buy to help pinpoint that problem a little bit more. But those foundations are, I feel like, such a big chunk of our health. And like, you know, when you think about the foundation of a house, if your foundation isn't sturdy, the rest of your house is never going to be sturdy. It doesn't matter how many times you like try to bandage up part of your house, you know, if it's like crooked or slanted, it's going to always struggle, you know. So when you start with that solid foundation, then you'll have a better idea of like, okay, where are the holes that are still need to be filled. I feel like sometimes I think I am always looking for, or I see things, you know, on social media, I'm like, ooh, that is totally speaking to what I need. And I think a lot of it might be able to be helped by those foundations, you know. So I follow someone on Instagram that talks a lot about like, stop spending money on stuff, eat enough food, get enough sleep, get sunshine. Once you're doing all of those things, then talk to me about what issues you have going on. But like, there's just, I think I specifically miss those huge basic things that can be so beneficial. So I just had to share that because I've noticed a huge win from my digestive system by getting that morning sun. And yeah, if you have digestive issues or other thing, like literally probably any other issue, get some sunshine first. Do that for a few months and then check in and kind of see where you're at. I'm obviously no doctor, but I just feel like this is like a secret that many of us don't know about, and I'm like, I want to shout it from the rooftops. Like, get sun, get outside, get that morning sun, get that magic sunlight an hour after sunrise, and then like see how you feel, because I think it's like this key thing that a lot of us didn't know about, you know. It's really easy to be like, oh, let me try this, let me buy this, and it's hard, you know, when there's advertisements in our faces all the time. I think I have found that more and more on social media, where I'm like kind of like wanting to step back more from watching other people on there, because I'm like, just feel like there's just a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I want to try that, but I don't want to pay for that. It's hard to not always be like, the grass is greener on the other side, you know? So yeah, I'm for trying all those free things that God gives us that I think are overlooked. So yeah, and speaking of the grass is greener on the other side, I have been thinking about that lately with taking care of Luke. I feel like, does anyone else ever feel like, no matter what your system is, like let's say you do daycare for your child or have some sort of babysitting, and you're like, gosh, I wish I could be home with my kid all the time. Or maybe you have that internal battle of like a little bit of both. Or maybe you're home with your kid all the time and you're like, gosh, I wish we could do like daycare or maybe part-time daycare. I struggle with that sometimes. I just feel like when we have really hard days, I'm like, gosh, it would be so much easier. I feel like if he was in daycare, or we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 days a week where he went to somebody else. And I really don't want that. I really want him to be with me the majority of the time. But there's just days where I'm like, that would be so, I get jealous. I'm like, it would be so nice to just be able to do this and then like put things in boxes, you know, like I'm going to do my work and then I'm going to come home and do my work with like my child and family. And then, I don't know. And then I'm like, my husband reminded me of this the other day. It was just a good reminder I needed to hear of. There was one day where I went to work actually in the office, and my son went to my mom. She helps out with him all the time. And so he went to her house for the day. So I actually, did go to work. And then it literally wrecked me. At the end of the day, it might have been 8 hours, maybe 7. I think I was getting a headache, like throbbing headache by like noon or 1. The lights, I just like specifically remember the bright lights. And I just didn't get enough food throughout the day. I didn't have all like my little things, that I have at home. And I I just felt totally wrecked by the end of the day. And then my mom was kind enough to keep him for a little bit longer. And so I came home and like rested. I called her and was like, this just wrecked me. I am so exhausted. My head is pounding. My stomach hurts. And so I came home and like laid down for I want to say an hour. And then I finally felt better. And, my husband, I was just, obviously told my husband about that, and he just reminded me of that. He's like, remember how because sometimes I'll be like, gosh, it would be nice if I could just have him go to daycare like for the majority of the week. He's like, remember that one day when it was like he was at daycare for the whole day? And then I remember saying like, I would so much rather just be at home and working and having my child versus having to go to work, because I was so drained by the end of the work day. And then I'm like, getting right back into now like a whole nother job, and that was not easy. Those of you guys that work outside of your home and then you have kids that you pick up from daycare or whatever, like, oof, it's like you got to get yourself ready, like pumped up again, ready to go. Here we go. And everyone's tired by the end of the day. And I'm sure it's just always like an internal battle of feeling guilty, not, just like always going back and forth. I definitely feel that a lot of like, I enjoy my job a lot. I also love my child. And I'm like, I just want to I want to have like a balance of everything. And I don't think there is like ever a perfect balance, So I just loved my husband and I's conversation on this the other day, because it was a perfect example of, I was like, oh, I'm totally comparing and like thinking the grass is greener on the other side. And it's not, it's never is. There's always pros and cons with every situation. And I was listening to, how we always hear like comparison is the thief of joy. That's something that I struggle with a lot. I was listening to this podcast this morning. I've been doing the, like, what's it called? Bible recap. It's like the Bible every day for a year. I definitely am not on track of it. I'm definitely off some days, but the one it like gives you a section of the Bible to read, and then she has a podcast to go along with it. And I was listening to the podcast today from it, and I loved how she talked about how it was some of the Psalms in the Bible that it was referencing to, were just talking about how envious this person was of like, there are people that just seem to always just have everything and everything just works out great for them. And then the person that was saying all this was like, no, like repenting and saying like, when I focus on when I focus on God, he was saying like, you always are, first of all, the God of justice. And also, like, he was realizing that it was his bitterness in his heart. And it wasn't just, like, he was noticing, that he was focusing so much on what he didn't have that it was just making him bitter. And so I loved when I was listening to this. I hope this is making sense. When I was listening to this podcast, the lady was like, she noticed the theme of these Psalms was comparison. And she had said, comparison is the thief of joy, but it also is can be like the thief of our faith, because it almost makes us feel like it makes us doubt God and all of his goodness in our life, because we're so focused on our bitterness and what we don't have. And it was such a good reminder. I loved it. And I think that she had said something like, actually I think I wrote it down. She said, preach his light to your darkness. And she said, had like a prayer of, Lord, take my eyes off of theirs and onto you. So good. Such a good reminder that I needed. I hope it's just what you needed today too. I am going to go vacuum out my car, get us all ready for our trip. I'm going to make some dinner. I'm making pulled pork. I always want to know what you're making for dinner, because I need more ideas. So tell me what you're making for dinner. Pulled pork and tater tots, I think, is what we're having tonight. Yeah, so I'm gonna make that, do some dishes, clean out my car a little bit, and then I think I might relax the rest of the day. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely weekend, and Tell me if any of that stood out to you, and tell me if you can relate to anything so I know I'm not alone. And remember, what are you having for dinner? All right, bye guys.